Man, the S36 is so broken. I hate this game. I'm so sick of seeing the Type 25 dealers.
How does it
They
cannot believe that they've done this
straight away. Guys, do you remember when you would open up Reddit, Twitter, Discord, or wherever you get your Call of Duty Mobile news from, and all the posts would just be flooded with, nerf this, petition to nerf this gun, or remove it from the game, or I'm uninstalling the game if they don't change this weapon right now? Well, today, for a bit of fun, I'm going to be having a look at the top 5 most broken weapons of all time in Call of Duty Mobile. So, again, of course, I made that intro as a bit of a meme, but I'm not saying I disagree with some of these nerfs. I hope this video can bring back some memories for you guys, especially of seasons 1, 2, and 3, where some of the weapons coming out were just way over the top. Maybe you guys love some of these weapons, maybe you hated them, but before we get into it, I would love if you guys could hit the like and subscribe button on this video. We just hit 100 subscribers, which is amazing to me. I'm really thankful for that, and I just want to say a big thank you to you guys who have already subscribed. 200 is up next, but I won't delay any longer. Now, let's get into it. Just a note guys, I am doing this by ranked season and not battle pass season, just so you don't get confused, but coming in at that number 5 spot is the AK-117 from season 1. Because this gun had such a low recoil, it was probably intended by the devs to be a really strong medium range weapon that you can kind of use at all ranges because it's an assault rifle. The problem was though, the rate of fire and damage were so good that you could use it up close and at long range as well, so it pretty much was the versatility master. If you guys think the BK-57 is pretty usable at all ranges now, I honestly think, I don't have the stats to back this up, but I really do think that the AK-117 from that time would just beat it at pretty much every range. And because it was only the start of the game at season 1, it did kind of take people a little while to figure out which weapons were the absolute best, but once they lashed onto this thing, there was no letting go. Now, it's probably been nerfed into its more intended role, which is a very good medium to long range assault rifle that you can still use at close range because of its high rate of fire. The close range damage is not what it was though, since it did get nerfed, and I believe it's a pretty well balanced weapon now. Even at its peak, while the AK-117 was an amazing weapon, I do believe that there are better ones on this list, so that's why I've got it in the number 5 slot. For the OG Season 1 players though, I'm sure you do have really good memories of this gun. Coming in at number 4 though is the Season 3 Type 25. This thing had an absurdly fast time to kill at close range, and paired with the geometry skin that gave it a range boost from the battle pass, it was really usable out to long range as well, with very controllable recoil and a pretty good range drop off. Because of its really high rate of fire, it was a very forgiving weapon, so you could sort of miss your shots and still do really well with it, and it did take them 2 nerfs to get this thing to where it is today. Unfortunately, nowadays, I think this gun kinda, maybe saying it sucks is a bit harsh, but it's definitely not that great, and I probably wouldn't recommend using it in any serious sort of play. This is a bit sad for me. It honestly was one of my favourite guns in the game, and I think that geometry skin on it was one of the best skins CODM has ever released personally, but that's all preference, and I do believe it's well deserving of the number 4 spot in this list. At number 3 we've got the Season 2 MSMC, and while this thing wasn't the most popular gun in all the pub matches I played, this thing absolutely dominated the ranked and competitive scene. Like, wherever it wasn't banned, you would literally see teams running around with 5 MSMCs, or maybe 4 MSMCs and a sniper if they're feeling generous. This thing was the weapon of choice for pretty much every legendary player that I know, especially in every search and destroy game where you really need to be winning those close one-on-one gunfights. People would just be jump sliding around with the MSMC everywhere. This thing was the absolute king of time to kill for automatic weapons, so that's with weapons that don't one-shot, and the fact that its other stats were even decent and workable made it the weapon of choice for a lot of high-level play. I do think that this thing has been nerfed into the ground a little bit too hard since. If you look at a lot of other shooters, there really is a place for a gun that just kills really fast up close but isn't that usable elsewhere, but I do think they probably went a bit too hard on reducing the magazine size. I know it's for balance, and I know it feels very unfair to play against when a gun kills you that fast, even if it's only at point blank range, so people often complain a lot, and that kind of causes weapons like this to be nerfed a little bit too hard, in my opinion. If we're just talking competitive, this gun really could have been a higher spot on the list, but I wanted to consider the wider player base as well, so I've left it at number 3, but if you guys think it's better than the number 2 gun maybe, you probably have a good argument there. Coming in at number 2, I'd have to say is the Season 3 S36. This gun was public enemy number 1 for ages, and it was just so easy to use and so powerful. The weapon did good damage at pretty much every single range. While it was lethal at close range, the damage didn't drop off at all. This gun did have some of the classic LMG weaknesses, like you didn't run around that fast with it and the reload time was pretty slow, but the fact that this gun had such low recoil and such a large magazine as well made it crazy easy to use, so everyone from pub players to pros were using it and running around with it where it wasn't banned in competitions. This gun I would say was the most hated on this list by far though. Pretty much everywhere you'd go you would just see complaints about the S36 or memes about it as well, and there are some good ones out there, but honestly it did kind of get repetitive. I do think they had a point though, this gun was pretty crazy, but not as crazy in my mind as the number one gun on this list. That number one weapon is the Season 4 ASM-10, and this thing was just the definition of overpowered. This thing seriously killed faster than an MSMC at close range, and if you don't believe me you can look up the old stats, but it was also an assault rifle, which meant you could use it further out. The damage on this thing was the one defining trait of it, so the rate of fire was sort of a bit low, and the recoil was medium level, like not, you know, a laser beam weapon like the Type 25, the old Type 25, or the AK-117 are right now. If you've ever heard anyone say a gun hits like a truck, that really fit this weapon, and a gun that had very controllable recoil, a decent rate of fire, and that kind of damage, which was a 3-shot kill inside 20 meters and a 4-shot kill at pretty much any other range you'd be using it at, it just doesn't belong in this game, like full stop. I did have a lot of fun with this gun, I'm kind of guilty, but this gun didn't get as many complaints as the S36 did maybe, because a lot of the time slower rate of fire guns are a little bit harder to use at first, and people don't always go for them because they perceive them as like sort of higher skill weapons that they, you know, they think that they will have to practice a lot to get good with, and Activision did nerf it pretty fast to their credit, but this thing has to be the number one spot in this list. The nerf it received basically nerfed the recoil and the rate of fire down to where it's a bit more acceptable and probably not an absolute top tier weapon anymore, although I still really like it and I still play with it really often. If you guys think that I've missed something or you think something else should be number one, definitely let me know in the comments, but I think that this gun, that Season 4 ASM-10, cannot be touched, honestly, but if you enjoyed, and I hope you did, please remember to like and subscribe. I'm out for now though, and I'll see you all in the next one.